My name is Anne VanBeber, and I am a professor of nutritional science at Texas Christian University, Fort Worth, Texas. Culinary medicine means flavor and delicious meals that are easy to prepare, and they're healthy, but you don't want to say the word healthy first. You want to say delicious, yummy, that's the word I use, yummy, and will help you feel good. Well, I've been telling Dr. Harlan for 10 years that culinary medicine changed my life. And, you know, before I met him and before I started doing this, I had been already at TCU for 20 years. And, you know, I felt like I was doing a great job. I always promoted Eat the Rainbow. That's the thing I used to always say. But now, I don't know, this curriculum that they prepared is so succinct, it's so easy to follow. The Mediterranean diet, and I do want to talk more about the Mediterranean diet, but it's just organized so well to help you encourage people to eat more plants, eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, but like the things I say now are eat your beans. Every healthy culture on the planet eats their beans. I mean, and it's the truth. I say every healthy culture on the planet eats their fermented foods. And if you look at the recipes that are in all these modules that we make, I mean, every week, no matter what module we're doing, there are beans in there. There's some type of fermented food, you know, mainly yogurt. Eat your greens. And you know, Americans in general are just not real good about eating greens, beans, too much processed food in this country, and I'm just like a warrior for getting people back into the kitchen, learning how to prepare their own meals, because you can do it, but it's more than just teaching people how to chop an onion though too. We have to step back and teach them how to shop, and so I've incorporated some of those things, but I'm very honored to be a CCMS and thankful for the opportunities that have come my way because of it. But I teach culinary medicine to the med students. I've been doing that for about 10 years in Fort Worth, but also I've incorporated into all my undergraduate classes, and I do community education, and I'm continually surprised at how much people don't know. And you know, a simple thing like talking to them about opening up a can of beans. And what I do, I think one of the easiest ways to enhance your plate is to take some spinach or some arugula and have it be the bed on your plate. And then you put your food on top of it. Or like the other night at home, I made some lentils. Lentils are so easy to make. They take 15 minutes, and I had added carrots and onions, because I'm always thinking too about how many more vegetables can I add to things. And I made a bed of lentils on our plate before I added the fish on top of that. So I think the way that these modules have been created is it's easy, but we have to make sure that we are teaching it so that people do understand and grasp it, and maybe want to incorporate it into their life. I have had a struggle with getting my department to want to do this. And we finally have one more person in our department who is certified. And if they wanted to do it, I would say go for it. If you have access to these modules, for one thing, it's just the curriculum is just so well written to where, like, if you want to talk to someone about how to lower their blood pressure, there are so many scientific studies you can cite, but then the recipes are just so yummy. That's what I keep saying. They're just so yummy, with lots of color, lots of texture. You have these resources that are so totally available to you. Oh, and I do want to say something about the Mediterranean diet, because when I first started doing this, what I started noticing over the years was I would talk about the Mediterranean diet and people would say, I don't like hummus. And you know, so then, I mean, I actually said to Dr. Harlan a few years ago, and I think the conference had talks about this 2 or 3 years ago. We have to make sure that people understand that the Mediterranean diet is cross-cultural, because we're not promoting Mediterranean cuisine, we're promoting the 9 food groups that this curriculum has broken up food into, and every culture has fruits, every culture has vegetables, every culture has some kind of beans and nuts and seeds. And so, you know, whether you're talking to a Hispanic population or you're talking to a black population, I mean, and you have to understand who you're talking to, and so that you recommend certain foods. But the Mediterranean diet, as it was eaten 60 years ago, did include just lots of fresh foods. Well, you know, this is, I mean, I don't know how many people would say this, but the fudgy black bean brownies, and I don't even remember what unit, oh, I think that's in, is that in the carbohydrate unit? I just love to make the fudgy black bean brownies for my students, for community talks, because it just freaks people out that there are beans in there. And this particular recipe does not have that gritty texture. So, I mean, I'm thinking of the modules, but when you say that question to me, I think of every single week when we're teaching the culinary medicine, I get so excited because, like, thinking, oh, we're making the quinoa lettuce wraps this week, and I love that recipe. And, you know, the quinoa lettuce wraps, this is a great example of, I say, oh, this is another thing that I think that's important to say is, think of ways that you can add either a vegetable or greens or a bean to things you already eat. And so the quinoa lettuce wraps, I always add chickpeas to that because it's just so easy. You open up a can of chickpeas, drain it and rinse it, and then you add it with the quinoa. So, you know, that's a really hard question for me to answer because students are always asking me that too. What's your favorite recipe or what's your favorite cuisine? I do tend to lean toward Southeast Asian flavors. I just love, I guess, maybe the complexity of all the different tastes that are in Vietnamese and Thai food. So I would pick those kind of foods to make, or restaurants when I go out, probably more than others.